Honestly, I'm not trying to waste your time, so I'm just gonna give it to you straight because it's like 3 AM. We all know that looks matter on the internet. It's a really uncomfortable truth, but let's be honest. If you're not serving the eye candy, a lot of people will just scroll past you. You know that, I know that, everybody knows that. In theory, VTubing was supposed to come in and sort of change this. Think about it for a second. A place where the content you produce should matter more than you look because anyone can look how they want. But when it comes to female streamers, there is always going to be that one thing that they will never be able to avoid. The gooner. Now, I'm not talking about the ones that actively play into it as sort of a joke or as sort of their style. I'm talking about the ones that would open like a cooking stream or something and get their cheeks clipped whenever they get a gallon of milk out of the fridge. And it's not like changing how they present themselves just suddenly makes that go away. And honestly, that's one of the weirder parts of being on the internet. Whether you want to or not, you are playing GFE Simulator. It's something we all implicitly know and can try and deny, but I don't think it's a mistake that the most clipped moment on a female streamer's channel is whenever she turns around. Or how when this all began, it just so happens to be the sussiest out of context clip making the rounds. At the very least, if it's like a titty streamer, you can argue that's the whole point. It's not a mistake that they all just so happen to be oiled up in an inflatable tub wearing absolutely nothing, but the entire point is to not be judged based on physical appearance. You can be equal parts demigod or some sort of a rat. Take your pick. Though you absolutely still can if you want to, the majority enter it just to avoid it because we're all secretly 60-year-old fat guys behind the screen with balding issues. And that presents a new problem: perceived accountability. If you're walking down a dark alley counting wads of cash and then you just so happen to get bamboozled, it's socially acceptable to call someone dumb for not mitigating that risk. It just so happens you exist in a space where being attractive is considered to be rewarding, and you just so happen to choose to be attractive. Remember, you paid upwards of $1,000 to shake anime titties. That's not Spawn RNG. And it's because of that active choice that a lot less people really feel bad when it happens. It's not that they lack empathy, but it's because it makes it seem like an intentional choice. Like it or not, people make snap judgments about you based on the first few seconds of meeting you. So when your first exposure is through clips that are disingenuously cobbled together, that's the narrative that gets set when you're in the spotlight. It makes it seem like that's the niche they're trying to fill when all they do is just tell a pee-pee joke here and there. But at no point does being attractive ever mean you chose to play the gooner bait. And that's probably one of the more corrosive parts of it. Like sure, you could argue you will always have a baseline of X people moving with you, which is true, but what do you do when that's not even something you even asked for? What do you do when it gets to the point where you've got random people like ha 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 ha, body count? If they could Thanos snap them away right now, do you think they would? But we all seem to treat them as different because of the disconnect of seeing anime on screen. This last one affects all creators, but at least for fleshies, you have the entire mainstream backing them up. Meanwhile, VTubers breaking records have to beg to which like, acknowledge me brother. And it's honestly the stigma around watching them to begin with. Imagine your average hardcore anime fan. Yeah, that picture is exactly why nobody will ever admit they watch VTubers out in public. You're always almost judged in a way for watching them.
Really, Nick?
That's honestly one of those allegations that we're really not dodging. Anyone seen watching them is considered to be a Kuma right off the rip. And to be fair, that's because a lot of them do end up selling you on sexual stuff. Not all of them attempt to sell you on this kind of stuff, but just enough of them do that it becomes a stereotype. It's kind of like the fleshy ones that do in fact have a glass ceiling, but it's even lower because it's anime. But at least for the former, platforms choose to endorse them. But then you have the other side and they kind of pretend that they don't exist. It's a really uncomfortable truth, but most people already have a preconceived notion of how they think you are when they first meet you. And it's because of that being ugly is and will always be a net negative. It doesn't matter what you say, how entertaining you are, how smart you are. If you don't serve the eye candy portion, people will tune you out based on the fact that you're just ugly and nothing else. VTubing is meant to serve as an even playing field because anyone can just choose how they look. Everyone just assumes that because you chose to be attractive that therefore you're looking for the gooner vote. When in reality, it's just more of a being not ugly. Now, I know deep down I will never have to suffer an issue like that because I understand most of the internet won't look at me that way, whether I decide to be a fleshy or not.